So I've known you for a while. My audience doesn't know who you are, but I want to start with a question. If a question which would be, what's the hardest thing you've had to overcome in the last, let's say, 12 months?
Wow, that's a very deep question there. The hardest thing I've had to overcome was, I would say, not being financially where I want to be. And
Mm,
that, in a sense, has pushed me in a direction where I've had to overcome, I would say, a lot of like fear and a lot of uncertainty. So I would say probably like fear and uncertainty. What I mean by that, when I'm in a place in my life where I was unfortunately part of layoffs, and within that process, we know the markets and things in the world has just been really, really crazy. And I've been, laid off for a good amount of time, but during this period, I've had to like figure out different routes as far as, trying to find some part-time work, putting my brands and things out there. But especially at my age, really learning how to be able to fight and push through during this type of situations. It's been really, really tough, but I continue to get up like each and every day and continue to strive forward.
mm.
And oftentimes people say, DeMarcus, I don't even know how you got to this point now, but I often am reminded of just like I had to push myself in this moment, and this moment that I'm in, I've really needed. So I know we were probably going to ask more questions, and I'm glad to go on that further, but definitely want to make sure I answered it to that level so far.
I want to ask because it leads into that. How do you keep getting up? 'Cause I know most time people, I've been laid off before
Mhm.
also, and it's a little different when you're older to just keep getting up and like putting your best foot forward. How do you keep getting up?
So, man, this has been, like I said, the toughest part of my life. I've had to really sit in my emotions. I'm someone as a man where I don't mind being vulnerable. I don't mind being able to express
Mhm.
myself. And it's taken a lot of work to get to this point. So it's not that I was always at that level.
Mm.
And for me, I realize, and people tell me this often, that my biggest strengths can be my vulnerability, my authenticity, and my integrity. And so those are the things that really help me to continue to move forward. People like yourself, my parents, people around me, my faith in God. It's obviously easier said than done, but just really having to lean on things around me to continue to get up. Oftentimes, like looking into the mirror is something that I have to really do for myself. I have to really hold myself accountable. Any situation that goes on in my life, I can't blame others. I have to really put myself into the situation and say, like, DeMarcus, like, remind yourself of who you are. Continue to share and express yourself, and continue to understand like your value. And oftentimes I really
Mm.
don't know as far as physically what gets me up, but it's something within my spirit that just says like I know that I'm worth more, and no matter what situation I go through, I can't let that be the final determining factor of who I am. Like I can't let that defeat me, and
Mm.
it's tough, but I just continue to move in that type of way.
I respect it because it sounds, anybody who's gone through anything is gonna know it's not gonna be a easy road, but you're basically saying like, hey, I'm going to put my foot forward every day. So for people who don't know Demarcus, Demarcus is multi-talented. He can do so many things. He
Appreciate
can
that.
do it well. The first time I saw him was when I was on Instagram. I got introduced to him by Amber, the adulting queen, and I saw a reel with him cooking. And when I was like, yo, who is cooking this like this? And, and I was like, I'm used to most cooks having like that boring video where it's
Yeah.
just like they're just showing. I was like the edits and everything, and I had a chance to view it. So tell people what do you do, business or even just like what do you do in the world?
Yes, so I had been in tech sales, so I would say like as far as career path, just being in the tech sector. But as far as on
Mhm.
the outside in regards to like business wise, I'm gonna have a brand called Mashing Up with Marco and have some ideas on
Mhm.
how I want to expand that and get that out more. But pretty much showing people how to have like home style luxury experience of cooking in the kitchen at home. And so how I got into that was in college. Like I didn't want to go back home, and I said, man, I need to find a way to be able to get those home style meals and desserts. wherever I was, located, which was in Louisville at the time, Louisville, Kentucky. And then I said, if I ever move, like, I need to find a way to get that going. And so over time, just
Mm.
cooking, just trying to figure it out, really just enjoying myself. I was always a guy that had high energy on social media, and cooking was just something I was doing. I couldn't cook at the time, but I just, continued to make it real fun.
Wait. So like this wasn't like a gift you already
No,
had?
I
What?
couldn't,
So there's hope for
I
me.
couldn't.
There's hope.
I could not cook. Like my parents wouldn't even let me, they would barely let me cook an egg on the stove, let alone put pizza rolls in the oven. Like I could not cook at all. So this was me just over time, just enjoying myself on social media. And I was just like whipping. I got old videos on my phone where the food, like it looked good, but it wasn't hitting. And just the energy kept doing that. And over time, I would do it like the food consistently to a level where for somebody that's just not really like a heavy food critic, they'd be like, okay, this is solid. Like, I need some of that. And over time, I'm like, started doing events and then started doing the videos. So I've just now gotten to a point to where I'm like, hey, I can really like take this somewhere.
So a couple of things. A, there's hope for me. It's like, but B, that kind of shows who you are. Like I can, if I put my mind to it, if I take the steps, I can do it. Now, how did you build the confidence to actually say I'm going to be able to cook for people, make desserts for people? Because I think cooking for yourself and then cooking for people are two totally different things. How did you build the confidence to say I'm going to be able to do that now?
So my confidence, I would say, it came even before that. Oftentimes, for me growing up as an only child, I found out that I had an older brother later on in my life, which was probably like 7, 8 years ago. But growing up as an only child, I was just gifted in many different areas. But oftentimes, I would be I kind of like when it came to like groups and just being supported and stuff like that, a lot of times I wasn't included. So oftentimes people would see
Mm.
DeMarcus, but like they would show a little bit of love, but it'd be like a kind of a ceiling. And then everybody else would be over here grouped up, and I would always feel like I wasn't a part of the crowds. And so cooking was one thing in addition to like some other areas of focuses for me where I just kind of had to just put it out there. And I was always someone on Instagram and Facebook that just showed me building my confidence over time. And
Mm.
when it came to the food, in certain moments, like I was still just like very nervous and everything, but I said, let me just throw it out here because people are enjoying the energy. And honestly, I think it's just over time, just trying to find ways to put myself out there because I always felt as if I didn't get like the true type of love from everyone in which I would have appreciated. So
Now, with that being said, how do you actually keep the tenacity when you're not getting the love from people who, for being honest, should be showing the love?
that's a great question. In this moment that I'm in right now, and I would say like it's more so a sharpening because where I'm at, been like transitioning slowly into this phase over the years. So I've constantly like put in work. I fought with ego, fought with like putting things out and stuff like that. But over time, I would have certain spurts of where I would push through and get through, and then I'd let that get into my head. Now I'm at a point to where I know how to utilize that for my growth. Like knowing that people ain't
Mm.
watching it, knowing that somebody made that I vibe with, may see all my posts, but they may post of celebrities whose food is not on my type of level. That gives me fuel. So when I go to the gym, like I finally have gotten to the point where like it's hunger for me. So like when I'm in the gym and I've lost weight recently, it's like
Mm.
I look at things in my life and I use that for my motivation because I already know how it feels where you may not have support in certain areas like you want to compared to how it looks like for others. So when I was young, I used to get so frustrated and I would kind of disqualify myself from doing certain things because I let other people kind of like pretty much self-sabotage myself. Now I found ways to
Mm.
really utilize that as my fuel. Like that's my engine, that's the gasoline, that's the electricity for my car. And in this moment,
Ooh.
it's really, even though I'm at my lowest point, finances ain't hitting. I know that when I get to that point, I'll be a beast because I needed to get to this point to where I was at rock bottom, but I had to use that fuel to push through. So
I honestly say, I honestly say you're a beast now.
appreciate that.
And the reason why I say that is because I think you don't become a beast without going through what beasts have to actually face. And I honestly believe to have the mindset you have now while in this space, you're still like, "Hey, I'm going to figure these things out. I'm going to make it happen." Now, with the non-supporters, it does hurt. I don't care what anybody says at
Mhm.
first when you see people resharing and putting out other people's celebrity stuff, and you're like, "Yo, my homeboy right there is doing the same thing, probably even
Right.
better." It just so happens that the celebrity has a bigger crowd. To take that and use it as fuel, how do you keep doing that? How do you not become like bitter?
I love that question. I don't become bitter because I realize, even on the level that I'm at now, that the purpose is bigger than myself. There's so
Mm.
many times in my life, to your question earlier, where putting myself out there, even in me not knowing how to do it, the authenticity and integrity was there. Even when I was making mistakes or going through life just as a natural human being, where people that may follow the crowds, they would still come to me behind the scenes and say, "Hey, man, the way you move, and I wish I could move like that. I appreciate you being able to
Mm.
show that." So I know what the true message is. I can see behind what everybody else is seeing because behind the scenes, people are giving me those messages. They're the ones that want my words of encouragement. They're the ones that are getting pushed. So seeing past the whole like social media scope, like I know what it really feels like. And so oftentimes I know that for me to get to a certain level, I can't just depend on other people. So by me continuing to put myself out there, I know that individuals need it. And so that just helps to like really shine the light for myself.
Now, where did this servant's heart come from? Because like we both know, like especially with social media, everything is usually about I, what I can do. Let me show you how good I
Mhm.
am. But you said it a couple times already. Some of the things that you're doing it so other people can have. It's kind of like so they can have a hope or like a blueprint that you can still do this. Where does this come from?
It definitely comes from my parents. I seen at a young age um, things that they would do in regards to showing up for me, showing up for friends and other families. And I was always a curious kid, and I was just always like ahead of the curve and just kind of understanding things before someone had to mention it to me. And one thing that just never sat well with me is how they would do so much for other people, and it just didn't seem like they were getting appreciated like that. But in their time, when it comes to emotions, it's like, okay, yeah, we know this, but I'm gonna keep moving forward. Like, it's just life. So when you really should sit with that and kind of like understand like what's going on around you, they're not necessarily doing that and they're pushing forward, but years later they may get to, where they're late 50s, early 60s and thinking like, you know what, I gave so much energy to people and now I'm just realizing that I shouldn't have gave so much or I shouldn't have overextended myself. And for me, I said I want to get a grip of that at a young age. I want to figure out like, is this truly how life's supposed to work? But like, why do people in my life that give so much to other individuals, why are they getting
Oof.
done the worst? And I'm like,
Oh man.
I couldn't really grasp it at the time, but over time, as I continue to go through life, I'm like, wow, I get it now.
Mm. I can agree with that because I've seen my mom give her whole life away,
Mhm,
and it took me a long time to say like, "What are you doing? Like these people are not reciprocating whatever you're putting out." But in the long run, you see like, all right, this type of giver's heart will pay off. So you mentioned, well, you didn't say this, but I'm gonna say this. You're a beast at
thank
cooking,
you.
and all of these things, editing. But you recently have you've came back to social media, which I want to definitely talk about that because I respect the
Mhm.
break. But you recently came back and you dropped 40 pounds. What is that about?
That was the awakening of consistency.
Mm,
That was a moment for me where I've had different times where I've lost weight. I went from like 272 to 227 before. I've gained and lost
mm,
weight like 240s, 250s and came back down. But the difference with those times versus this time is this time I was able to make it consistent in my own way. Before I would try different things. I've done like all different types of fasting. Like I knew how to lose weight, but I knew that I needed to get over the hurdle of the diet. And for myself, I said, okay, we're going to lock in with the low carb. And then over time, we're going to incorporate foods that we typically would because I want to challenge myself to see if I go back to eating in a similar way, can we still keep that discipline? And my word for the year was being dauntless. And that was my word for last year, but I realized I wasn't ready. So I changed it to preparation. And this year I told myself I'm gonna be dauntless because I just knew it was time for me to really lock in on doing the things that I'm talking about. It doesn't have to be every single thing, but like I just weight was the has been the one key to my life where I said if I can figure that out, I know I can figure out everything else, and I had to just lock in to do it.
Ay, yeah, that I think weight loss does something for you more mentally than it does just physically. Because you have to, if you're gonna lose the weight, anybody can lose 10 pounds,
Hmm.
right? You can lose that by just fasting. 40 is a decision.
It is.
Like this is like I'm gonna be making some different decisions. Do you feel that this weight loss is like a part of what's about to come with you?
I absolutely do. I feel that it is one area that many people, I don't care, you could be, you can be an OG and have the most thought-provoking type of perspectives. You can be someone that's successful in whatever ways, but losing weight is a decision where you have
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go without something for a certain period of time. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be able to say,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I'm going to stop eating certain foods," or if you're going to eat the same foods, you got to do more steps. You have to work out harder. You have to increase your water. There's something that you have to remove in order to get the result. I don't care what anybody says.
Stop right there, because that that's a life principle. Like there is something you cannot get success without stopping something.
Yes.
Like something has to stop, something has to start. So knowing that you knew that from weight loss, you know that from cooking, from career changes and things like that. What's next for you?
That's a loaded question. Life is in the air. I don't know where like my next moves will be, but I know that as far as what I can do in this moment is take advantage of my days. And so that means getting back
Mm,
into my journaling, podcasting. You got me into that. I know we'll talk about that here soon.
mhm.
And I even I'm reading Relentless right now by Tim Grover.
Monster. He's a
Yes,
monster. He's a monster.
I'm about 70 pages in. I'm just like, man, this is like this is the perfect moment for reading this for me. And yeah, just taking control of what I can. And that's different for me too, Drew, because I'm telling you, I'm someone, and I promised myself this at the beginning of the year. I said, no matter what, we can't self-sabotage. Like, because I was someone where if people were doing things to me, if situations would happen in my life, I was someone that would just like let everything go. But something in my strength is just like, we may not know the direction right now, but the one thing we can't give up is on ourselves. And I'm
Mm.
like, that's really
Hmm.
been it for me, man. Just taking it day by day and just fighting the good fight.
Now this is a different Demarcus than I first met,
Mm.
because I remember sending you a message saying, "Where's the podcast?"
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, he has the skill, he has the talent, he knows how to do it. Where is it at? And then now I think you're over 20 episodes
I think
in now,
think
right?
I'm with the ones I have scheduled, I'll be about 32.
32. What made you say, "Hey, I'm going to go ahead and actually launch this podcast and help people out?"
So in all transparency, when you were sending me those messages, see, there's times in my life to where no matter what, even with like kind of the scare or fear in certain areas of life, like even being a spiritual person, like it says in the Bible about having fear, but like even as Christians, it's like you still are going to have moments to where you have that, like you're humans.
Absolutely.
And when you had sent me the message, I knew that I was going to push myself and this is something that I wanted to do, but I knew that mentally I still wasn't really in the space of like, DeMarcus, we really going to like get stuff done because I still was kind of focused on like that motivation type of piece. Like, hey, this feels good right now, that adrenaline, but I knew that I wasn't ready yet. But I knew that after I finished your boot camp, I said before the beginning of the year, I said, we're going to go ahead and push now because I don't want to wait to the beginning of the year because everybody like typically likes to start on the first.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let me go ahead and start in November, but let me finally do something where I don't tell anybody and just get things going and see how I can actually start doing that in my life. Because I'm someone where I'm an open book just because I love to help people, but oftentimes I can kind of delay like moving forward in some things because now I'm putting expectations out there. So the podcast, when you had mentioned that to me, I said, you know what? I'm going to push myself. I'm not even going to tell Drew that I'm doing it. I said, let me get past, I think it was you said 3 episodes people typically don't get past.
Yeah,
Then I
yeah.
moved it up to like I think I got to 6. So I'm still not gonna tell him. I think maybe until I got to 10, it was when I posted on Instagram a video of me doing a an event, like a food event, and then you said, and I was describing it. You said this is the podcast, and I said before that, I said the next time that Drew comments, I'm going to let him know that I have a podcast, and that happened to be that moment, and I said, okay, now it's time to let him know. So that's where I got the energy to do it.
I I was beyond proud because I believe strongly that and this may sound wrong, but it's whatever. I believe that black men have a lot to say. And I believe a podcast is one of the greatest outlets because you can take it anywhere. You could be in a gym, you can be walking. But I also believed, I was like, he has something unique to say, not just do these 5 things and you're gonna get this result. It's coming from tried and true uh, methods. It's coming from his real life experience. And if you ever met Demarcus or you ever talked to him, you can tell immediately how much he cares about people, which is totally different than most podcasts. It's usually about, let's get to this bag, let me give you this quick tip, and then you buy my program. So now with having the podcast show over 30 episodes, and which if you look up the statistics, I think it's right now only like 5% of podcasters even make it to 20 episodes.
Wow,
That's
it's
crazy
nuts.
because there's like millions of podcasts that start and stop. Now that you have this podcast that you're sharing, you kind of know where you want to go. How do you how would you encourage another guy who's like, yo, I don't have that, I don't have the motivation, I don't have the stamina right now, I don't have the mindset. How do you encourage like a guy to actually move forward?
That's a great question. I would say like for any guy, look into your life and see like what about you gets people excited? What about you kind of like just sparks that smile or just like what do people feel intrigued to learn more about when it comes to yourself? And I think that's where the start is. And then just also like seeing some of your abilities, like what are things that you know that you can do that's just maybe different? Like if you're someone that's funny, if you're someone that has all these like different type of interests that's maybe different than the average person. Like find those things that make you happy and then kind of start from there.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm. I like that one. Let's just say like this guy he's complaining that he doesn't have like a supportive
Mhm.
circle. What do you say to that?
I say eventually your tribe, even if it's one person, is going to come along. So don't even worry about
Hmm.
that because the people that ain't supporting, I feel like that as you continue to grow, they're going to eventually be the ones that are like, oh, I knew you could do it. Oh, I knew that you were this type of person. But there's somebody out there that's just like you that wishes that they had somebody else that can mirror them. So go ahead and be that mirror because somebody out there needs it.
Mm. This is something that I definitely want to make sure I say as we land the plane. I've bounced tons of ideas off of Demarcus.
Of course.
Tons of ideas, tons of thought processes. And to the normal person, it would seem like Drew's kind of crazy with all these thoughts. But he somehow knew, or if, I don't know if he did know, but I want to definitely say it. These were coming through major transitions in life. So it was like me just trying to find like some solid ground, some footing, and I'm just bouncing ideas, frustrations, aggravations, all that off of him. And I can honestly say this dude's like a brother to me.
Likewise.
And I say that because we've never met each other in person before.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like you don't know how your tribe will come, just when they come, vibe with them,
Mhm.
like share with them. Like we've shared a lot of like just why this isn't working. Should this work? And we've had differences on ideas.
Mhm.
Like I think this could work. I don't think that can work. I think if we did it, I don't think it. And I think that's what putting pride aside does, and putting ego aside. So like if you're a guy and you're like, I don't have a tribe, or you're a woman, I don't have people, you'll be surprised who's right around you who can support you if you open up your mouth. You said earlier that your vulnerability and integrity can be seen as a strength. How do you see that as a strength versus a weakness?
I see it as a strength because that's where everybody really wants to be. Like more people want others to know who they really are. They want people to understand how they feel, how they move, but oftentimes people are afraid because of the judgment and things of that sort. And I know for
Mm.
myself, like I've had embarrassing moments. I have times where I may post thoughts and people are like, wow, like you posted that, but it's like you really feel like that. Like you really want to say that. But I'm going to be the person that puts it out there because I'm going to move in a way to where it's me at the end of the day. I'm not going to be outlandish, but people want to express themselves in that way. So I look at it as a huge strength because a lot of people never get there and they really want to.
And a lot of men, I think we talk about men healing and
Mhm.
men moving forward a lot. A lot of men have never had a chance to be vulnerable.
Yep.
And I know people would be like, just open up. You'd be like, that's
It's not
it, it's it's not
at all.
it it's not just like, hey, today I'm about to just share my whole soul
Hmm.
with you. So last part, I just do rapid fire
Hmm.
questions. Uh, if they're too personal, something like that, you can just skip.
Sure.
But they're just questions so the audience can know more about you. Favorite rapper of all time? You can go back in the day or current.
Young Jeezy. Young Jeezy.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. Favorite movie?
Paid in full.
Paid in
Yeah.
Full. Money Making
Money
Mitch.
Mitch.
All right. Favorite thing to do outside of cooking and business?
Outside of cooking and business, I would say I love making beats for fun. Mm.
Yeah, yeah. What's something that you want the world to know about you that few people guess?
I want the world to know that who DeMarcus is authentic and is real. And oftentimes there's a lot that I go through that people don't see. And
Mm.
that person comes from just going through like a lot of situations in life and also putting himself on the back burner a lot. And I would say like in these next steps in life, him putting his best foot forward and putting himself first doesn't mean that he's not looking out for everybody else. He's just prioritizing the people in his life that matter.
Mm. Love it, love it, love
Mhm.
it. Okay, here's some
Okay.
more. Favorite summer activity?
Favorite summer activity. I haven't done it in a while, but I love riding the e-bikes or just bike riding in general.
Huh.
Mhm.
Okay, I was somewhere and I saw them and I was like, yeah, I need to hop on
Ah
one.
man.
I need to
I got so much footage I still need to post from when I used to do those a lot. Oh yeah.
where I was like, I need to hop on
Hmm.
one. One celebrity you need to meet.
One celebrity I need to meet. Um, my future self.
Hmm.
Celebrities are just humans to me. There's some people that have
I
worked to get
love
to where they
it.
are, but I don't fantasize over celebrities like that. I mean, I met Jeezy before, that was cool, but like it's just a person that just has accolades. But my future self.
I love it. I love it. Now, first, tell them how they can find you.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram, mashing up with Marco. That's my food page. Then my personal page is that man Marco. So those are also on TikTok as well. Going to be putting more content out there. My podcast on Apple and Spotify is The Life of a Multifaceted, and then my YouTube page is The Multifacets of the Market. So ramping all those up, trying to like reposition how I want to get my brands and things out there, but have a lot of content coming.
Love it. And what I'll do too, we'll get the information and we'll put it in the show notes so you guys can get it. Any final words you want to leave with the audience?
Man, just continue just to like put yourself out there, even times when it may seem frustrating, where people may not understand. Like, love being misunderstood. That's one thing I didn't get a chance to say, but like I fell in love with being misunderstood because the ones that do take time to understand who I am or at least get to know me more, like those are the more fruitful conversations and the people I enjoy the most. So don't be afraid to feel misunderstood. Start loving and enjoying being misunderstood.
Yeah, you have it, guys. Mic'd up and called. We had Demarcus on the show. My brother, this
Man,
dude is a beast, but he's also a caring man. Make sure if you're in New York, get some food,
yes, sir.
get some desserts. If I'm scared, if I lived out there, I'd be 400 pounds from.
City will do that to you for sure.
I'm in Georgia right now, and my first thing I was like, "Yo, people be throwing
Yes.
down out here. Let me stay
Yeah, Southern
safe."
hospitality, man. I'm telling you.
I was like, "Let me stay safe." But guys, I'll make sure I give you guys the update with those and the show notes. That's it, guys. Be good. Be
All right,
great.
y'all. Thank you, Drew.